The Galactic Council met in the Grand Chamber, a place where the fate of the universe was decided by beings of unimaginable power and wisdom for centuries. They had watched over the stars, ensuring peace and order among the countless species that inhabited the galaxy today. However, a new threat had emerged, a species that had been nothing more than a curiosity only a few centuries ago, now stood on the edge of their discovery into the cosmos. The human race had taken its first steps into space, and already they had begun to expand faster than any of the council members had expected. Factions from across the galaxy began to voice their concerns about humanity's rise. It was not just their technology that worried the aliens, it was their audacity, their unwillingness to bow down to the rules of the established galactic order. Humanity had not been invited into the Grand Council of Species that governed interstellar peace, and yet they still reached for the stars, as if they had every right to do so. The debate grew heated as alien leaders from the oldest and most powerful civilizations voiced their fears. Some spoke of their own long history of spacefaring conquest and how humanity's potential could disrupt the balance of power. Others, however, seemed more intrigued by the human species. Some argued for diplomacy to learn more about these creatures, but their voices were drowned out by those who believed only destruction could stop the potential chaos humanity could bring. Finally, after hours of debate, the Council voted to declare war on humanity in an emergency broadcast of every corner of the galaxy. The Galactic Council declared its intention to eradicate the human threat. Before it grew any stronger, the message was clear: humanity was an obstacle that could not be allowed to exist for much longer. The broadcast reached Earth, and the response was instantaneous. Chaos erupted across the world. Governments scrambled to form a unified response as panic set in. Many believed they were doomed. The stories of the alien fleets that could destroy entire planets were not exaggerated. The human race had no defenses capable of stopping such a force. But there was something about humanity that made it unique, a trait the Galactic Council had vastly underestimated: the ability to unify when faced with impossible odds, a deep, unshakable belief in the power of survival, and a refusal to bend to any authority that did not earn it. In every corner of Earth, people gathered in response to the threat. Some took up arms, others began working tirelessly to improve existing technologies, while governments rallied the people under one common goal: to survive and to show the galaxy that humanity was not to be trifled with. The President of the United States gave a speech that would be broadcast worldwide, his words a rallying cry for all nations. "We will not bow, we will not kneel, we will fight together, and we will prove to the galaxy that Earth is not a planet to be conquered. Humanity may be young, but we are far from weak." And in that moment, the people of Earth united as one. They knew the battle would not be easy, but they were ready for the war that was coming. No matter how powerful the enemy was, humanity had something they could never take from them: the will to survive. Weeks passed, and the first signs of the alien fleet appeared on the edge of Earth's solar system. Massive ships, unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Their sleek forms glimmered against the backdrop of stars as they approached the planet with cold precision. The news spread quickly across Earth. Panic set in again, but this time it was different. The sense of fear was met with something else, something new, something undeniable: a collective determination to stand firm. The nations of Earth had already begun to prepare for this day. They knew it was coming. In secret military bases deep beneath the surface of the Earth, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to create new weapons and technologies that could counter the alien threat. Humanity had learned from their first encounter with alien technology. The reverse-engineered ship had given them an edge, an understanding of the enemy's technology they had never imagined. Now every nation on Earth rallied its best minds to create a counterattack, each country working together despite their differences to put aside old rivalries and focus on one singular goal: survival. The alien ships continued their steady approach with their massive hulls and menacing weapons. They looked unstoppable, but there was something the Council did not know about humanity, something they had not accounted for: the spirit of a species that refused to bow down. As the alien ships crossed into Earth's orbit, Earth's leaders met again in an emergency session. The room filled with tension as they discussed the threat now looming overhead. The president stood before them, addressing the room with the calm resolve that had inspired millions across the globe. "We have one shot at this. We've seen what they can do, but we've also seen what we can do. We fight for our home. We fight for our children. We fight because we are human." This moment became a turning point across the planet as the president's words reverberated through every broadcast station across Earth. It wasn't just a call to arms. It was a call to unity, a declaration that every human being, regardless of nationality, religion, or background, was now part of one global force determined to protect their way of life. In the streets, people came together to prepare. Some organized into militias, others formed volunteer groups to assist in various efforts. Families said their goodbyes to loved ones, knowing that the war would not be over quickly. Some soldiers left their homes, not knowing if they would ever return, but knowing their sacrifice would be part of something much bigger. And then it happened. The alien fleet moved closer. Some of their ships landed on the surface of Earth, demanding surrender in the form of giant emissary vessels, carrying alien diplomats. These beings were meant to intimidate, their size alone enough to inspire terror among any species that had never encountered such power, but humanity was not afraid. The alien diplomats were met with a surprising response, a quiet resistance that left them speechless. Humanity did not quake under their gaze. They did not bow, they simply stood their ground. The leaders of the invading force were perplexed. They had expected panic, they had expected submission, but instead they saw defiance. When the diplomats demanded humanity's surrender, they were greeted with silence. And then the president spoke again, this time to the universe, to every species watching. "We will not surrender. We will not be intimidated. Earth stands strong." And with that message, the alien diplomats left Earth's surface, defeated not by force, but by a refusal to yield. A new chapter began in the war for Earth, but the fight was far from over. The first major battle came sooner than expected as the alien fleet began its assault on Earth's orbit. A barrage of energy weapons rained down on cities across the globe. The force of the attack was overwhelming. Entire cities were reduced to rubble as Earth's military scrambled to defend its territory. The skies above Earth were filled with the roar of weapons fire as human ships launched from spaceports in a desperate attempt to push back the invaders. The fleets were outmatched. The alien ships were massive and equipped with technology far beyond anything humanity had ever seen, but the human spirit refused to break. In military command centers across the planet, officers barked orders as technicians worked frantically to activate the new countermeasures humanity had developed. The Unity field was ready for its first test, a powerful energy disruptor designed to neutralize alien technology. As Earth's fleet engaged the alien ships, a small squadron of human vessels activated the Unity field for the first time in space. The effect was immediate and devastating. The alien ships, once invincible, now seemed helpless. Their weapons failed, their shields flickered and died, their engines sputtered. For the first time the battle, the humans gained the upper hand. Their ships maneuvered through the chaos with precision and coordination. Alien ships began to break apart as human forces fired with newfound confidence. The Unity field had worked beyond anyone's expectations. The alien fleet was forced to retreat in disarray, but humanity knew this was only a temporary victory. The invasion was far from over. The first wave of the alien assault had been repelled, but the full force of their military was still approaching from the distant reaches of space. In the wake of the battle, Earth's leaders knew the fight had only just begun. They had struck a blow against the invaders, but now the task was to prepare for what was to come next. Every nation on Earth mobilized to continue the defense. The war effort was now a global priority. Every resource was dedicated to the fight. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council, panic began to spread among the alien factions. Some species began to question the wisdom of the war, while others clung to their belief in superiority. They had underestimated humanity, and now the invaders were faced with an unexpected enemy. On Earth, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to improve the Unity field and develop new weapons with the captured alien technology. Humanity's understanding of the enemy grew by the day. Human engineers reverse-engineered parts of the alien ships and crafted new tools of war that were tailored to Earth's needs. In secret military facilities, new human spacecraft designs emerged faster, sleeker, and more deadly than anything seen before. The world began to shift. The weapons of the future were being built right in the heart of Earth, and every test showed promising results. Humanity was adapting to the war, not just surviving but thriving. The people of Earth remained resolute in their defense, from the highest government officials to the civilians in the streets. Every human understood the stakes. The fate of their species hung in the balance, and they would not go down without a fight. The resolve of the human race was stronger than any alien weapon could ever hope to break. And so the war continued. Earth had proven it could stand against the invaders, but the true test was still ahead. As the alien forces regrouped and prepared their next attack, humanity would need every ounce of its ingenuity, strength, and unity to face what was to come. The alien fleet was far from defeated. Despite the damage they had suffered, the invaders were regrouping their forces in the outer reaches of the solar system, preparing for their next move. Earth's military watched carefully, their sensors picking up the movements of the enemy ships. Every human on the planet knew the next battle would be their biggest yet. The Galactic Council had underestimated the resolve of humanity, but now they realized the full scale of the threat they faced. Their warships now moved with more caution. The invaders were learning from their previous mistakes, but so were the humans. Humanity's quick adaptation to alien technology had given them the upper hand, and the momentum was shifting in their favor. In Earth's war rooms, global leaders convened once again. This time there was no panic, there was no uncertainty. They were prepared. The strategies had been tested, the weapons refined. Humanity was no longer reacting to the alien threat, they were anticipating it. The unity field had proven effective against the alien technology, but the humans knew the invaders would eventually adapt and counter this new weapon, so Earth's best minds began to develop something more, a weapon that could be used on a larger scale, a weapon that would ensure the survival of their planet and their species. At the heart of Earth's secret war effort, a new energy-based weapon was being developed by a group of engineers and scientists who had been working in silence for months. The project was risky, but the potential was vast. It was humanity's answer to the aliens' overwhelming firepower. The weapon was designed to harness the energy of the sun itself, a concentrated burst of solar power capable of destroying entire fleets with a single shot. It was the most powerful weapon ever conceived by humanity, and it was ready for deployment. But the launch of such a weapon would come with its own risks. The energy surge could damage the very planet it was meant to protect. But there was no other option. If Earth was to survive this war, they would need to strike a decisive blow against the invaders. As the alien fleet advanced toward Earth's inner solar system, the humans made their move. The first shot of the new weapon was fired. A massive burst of energy surged from the surface of the planet and into the vastness of space. It struck with the force of 1,000 suns, a blinding flash that ripped through the alien fleet. For a moment, the entire solar system was bathed in light. As the energy burst collided with the invaders' ships, massive explosions rocked the alien fleet. Ships disintegrated as their hulls buckled under the immense pressure of the energy. But not all of the alien ships were destroyed. Some managed to survive, and the remaining forces regrouped quickly. The invaders were not finished yet. They were wounded but far from beaten. On Earth, the news of the weapon's success spread quickly, but so did the realization that humanity was not yet safe. The war had escalated to a new level. The alien fleet was still coming, and now they would fight harder than ever before. The humans were not deterred, though the weapon had proven effective. They knew it would take more than a single strike to win this war. Every nation on Earth now joined together in the effort. Humanity would use every weapon at its disposal, every ounce of its creativity, to fight for its survival. The alien forces may have underestimated humanity once, but now they knew the humans would never give up. They would never back down. And so the war continued. The alien fleet regrouped quickly after the devastating blast. The survivors retreated to the outskirts of Earth's solar system, licking their wounds. But they were not broken. They had felt the power of humanity's new weapon, and it had left them fearful yet determined to retaliate. They would not allow this primitive species to dictate the course of the war. Back on Earth, the victory felt bittersweet. The weapon had worked, but at what cost? The strain on Earth's resources was immense. And the truth was clear: one more strike like that, and the planet itself could be in jeopardy. The human race had won a battle, but the war was far from over. The war rooms were busy as humanity's leaders prepared for the next stage of the conflict. Earth's military strategists analyzed every move the aliens made, trying to anticipate their next move with precision. They knew the alien forces would not hesitate to strike again. They would come back with more power, more intensity. In secret underground facilities, the engineers and scientists worked day and night to refine the energy weapon. They had no choice but to improve it. They knew the enemy would not stop until they had crushed humanity once and for all. Earth's best minds pooled their knowledge together with one goal in mind: to build something stronger, something that could ensure Earth's survival, no matter the cost. But there was also something else happening, something unexpected. As the war escalated, more and more alien species began to defect. Some came from the outer rim worlds, others from within the Galactic Council itself. They had seen humanity's resilience, they had witnessed their ingenuity and their will to fight for freedom. The first to arrive were the Tricarians, a peaceful species from a distant star system who had once been allies of the Galactic Council, but had grown disillusioned with the authoritarian rule of the Council. They had heard the message from Earth and decided to offer their help. With them came a wealth of knowledge about the Council's military tactics. Their ships were fast and nimble, and their technology focused on stealth and subterfuge. Their ships could slip past enemy defenses unnoticed and strike where the invaders least expected it. Next came the Volcari, a warrior species known for their brutal combat prowess. Their people had long been kept in check by the Council's military dominance, but they too had seen what humanity was capable of, and they were eager to join the fight. Their ships were equipped with powerful weapons, and their soldiers were some of the fiercest in the galaxy. Together, they formed an alliance with humanity, a new force in the galaxy capable of challenging the once unstoppable Galactic Council. The defectors brought with them not only military support, but a wealth of knowledge about the inner workings of the enemy. The defection of these species had a profound effect on the war. The Galactic Council began to fracture, its unity shattered as more and more species questioned the wisdom of the war against humanity. They began to see that perhaps it was not humanity that needed to be crushed, but the Council itself. The enemy now had internal divisions and cracks in their power structure. Humanity had not only held its ground, but had sparked a revolution among the oppressed alien species who had long been subjugated by the Council. But even with the newfound allies, the war raged on. The stakes higher than ever. The aliens were still a formidable force, and they were not about to back down. Their resolve was as strong as ever, but now humanity had the strength of allies by their side, and together they would challenge the very foundation of the Galactic Council. The war had taken an unexpected turn. The Galactic Council, which had once seemed so unbreakable, was now struggling. Their forces fractured, their unity crumbling as more species joined the growing alliance with humanity and their newfound allies from the Tricarians and the Volcari. The tides of battle began to shift in humanity's favor. The human race had proven that they could not only survive, but also inspire others to fight for their freedom. Their resilience was their greatest weapon, and now it was spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. On Earth, the war continued to take its toll every day. The battle raged on, but the spirit of the human race had never been stronger. Every nation continued to work together with a common goal: to protect their home and to preserve the future of their species. In the skies above Earth, human and alien ships fought side by side, pushing back the invaders with relentless determination. The alien fleet was still formidable, but the humans and their allies had learned to fight smarter, to exploit the weaknesses they had uncovered in the enemy's technology. One of the most significant breakthroughs came when the combined forces of humanity and their new allies discovered a vulnerability in the alien ships, a critical weak point that, if exploited, could cripple their entire fleet. The discovery was a game changer. Now the war had a clear path to victory. The Tricarians had a vast database of knowledge about the Galactic Council's military strategies and tactics, and they had provided humanity with the insight needed to outmaneuver the enemy. Their stealth ships and specialized weapons allowed them to strike behind enemy lines and disrupt their operations from within. Meanwhile, the Valkyrie's warriors continued to turn the tide of battle with their powerful and highly skilled forces. Their ships clashed against the alien invaders with brutal efficiency. Every battle showed the aliens that they had underestimated the strength and ferocity of the human spirit and its allies. As the war progressed, the enemy's resolve began to waver. Cracks appeared in the once unbreakable unity of the Council. Their arrogance had blinded them to the true potential of humanity. And now they were paying the price. The once unstoppable war machine was faltering with every defeat they suffered. The Galactic Council's leaders were forced to reconsider their approach to the war. Some began to question the wisdom of continuing the conflict. Others feared that the war could escalate beyond control and threaten the very survival of the galaxy itself. On Earth, the people continued to fight and build new technologies to support their war effort. The human race had found itself in a strange position. They were no longer simply defending their planet. They were now fighting for something greater, for the freedom of all those oppressed by the Council's rule. It was a war not just for survival, but for the future of the galaxy, a fight for the right to choose one's own destiny, and to stand up against tyranny and oppression, no matter how powerful the enemy. As the war entered a critical phase, humanity and their allies prepared for the final battle against the Galactic Council. Their forces were stronger than ever, but they knew that this would be the ultimate test of their resolve. The fate of the galaxy rested in their hands, and they would stop at nothing to ensure victory. The final battle loomed on the horizon as the combined forces of humanity and their allies gathered for the ultimate confrontation with the Galactic Council. The war had stretched for years, but now the end was in sight. Every fleet ship, every soldier was ready for the decisive strike. The Galactic Council's remaining forces had gathered in one last stand. Their fleets were massive and heavily fortified. They had sent their strongest generals and commanders to lead the charge, but even they knew the war was on the brink of collapse. They had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and fight with unyielding will. Earth's forces were poised for the assault. Humanity's fleets were now equipped with advanced alien technology, and their tactics were sharper than ever. The Tricarians had perfected stealth strikes that crippled the enemy's defenses from within, while the Valkyrie warriors led the charge with their unmatched strength and fury. The final battle was to take place in the heart of the galaxy, above a massive alien fortress. The Council had made its last stand on a world they had fortified for centuries. The battle would decide the fate of the galaxy, and for humanity it was a chance to prove once and for all that they were not to be underestimated. On Earth, preparations were in full swing. The people had gathered in their millions to watch the final battle unfold. Humanity had already accomplished the impossible. They had stood up to the most powerful force in the galaxy, and now they would face their greatest challenge yet. As the fleets of Earth and its allies moved toward the alien fortress, the sky above became a chaotic scene of ships darting and weaving through laser fire and explosions. The battle was a blur of energy blasts and missile strikes as the alien forces tried to fight back with everything they had left. But humanity had the advantage. Their fleets were agile and coordinated. They fought with purpose and precision. Every maneuver was calculated, every move designed to wear down the enemy and create an opening for the final strike. Amid the chaos, Earth's leaders coordinated their efforts from the war rooms, each command center working in unison to direct the fleets. The military leaders knew that this was at the moment they had been preparing for. The fate of their species would be decided here and now. As the battle raged on, the Galactic Council's fleet began to falter. Their ships grew weaker under the relentless assault of the human forces, and their allies, their once dominant ships, began to fall apart as the concentrated energy from the human weapons tore through their hulls. The alien fortress was not immune to the onslaught either. Human ships made their way toward the heart of the enemy's stronghold, launching a coordinated strike at the Council's central command center, a place where their final defense lay. In the midst of the battle, the human fleets moved with calculated precision, each ship working as part of a greater whole, no longer just individual nations fighting for survival, but one united force determined to secure their future. And then it happened, the final blow. A massive energy beam fired from Earth's newly developed weapon struck the alien fortress. It ripped through the defenses and exploded at the heart of the enemy's command center. The blast sent shockwaves across the galaxy, and the Council's forces were shattered. The battle was over. Humanity had won, but the cost had been high. The war had taken everything they had and more. But now the galaxy was free from the Council's rule, and humanity had secured its place among the stars. The galaxy was forever changed. After the final battle, humanity stood victorious. But at a great cost. The war had ravaged entire star systems and left a trail of destruction in its wake. Entire civilizations had been wiped from existence, and many species had lost their homes in the chaos. The Galactic Council was no more. Its once mighty leadership shattered and their fleets scattered across the galaxy. Remnants of the old regime now fled to the farthest corners of space, leaving behind a galaxy that was no longer under their control. But even in the face of this victory, humanity knew that peace was not something that could be easily attained. They had fought for their survival and the survival of their allies, but the aftermath of the war left deep scars on the galaxy and Earth itself. As Earth began the long process of rebuilding, the leaders of the surviving species met in a new gathering, a council of sorts, to discuss what came next. Humanity had been instrumental in toppling the old regime, and now they would take on a new role as leaders of a free galaxy. The first steps were small but significant. The remnants of the Galactic Council's power were swiftly dismantled, and its once subjugated species began to rebuild their societies with the hope of never returning to the days of oppression. The Vocari and Tricarians helped to guide the rebuilding efforts, using their knowledge of war and peace to help the newly formed alliances of planets find stability. They worked together with humanity to ensure that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. But there was more to be done. The galaxy was vast and filled with worlds that had been untouched by the war. Those worlds needed the guidance and protection of the new alliance. Humanity and its allies stepped up to ensure that no one was left behind, and that the future of the galaxy would be one of peace, cooperation, and understanding. The human race, which had once been seen as insignificant and fragile, now stood as a beacon of hope to the galaxy. They had proven that even the most powerful forces could be overcome with determination and unity. And as the people of Earth looked toward the stars, they did so with hope. They had not only survived an impossible war, but they had forged a new path forward, a path where the oppressed could rise and the powerful could be held accountable, where freedom and justice were no longer distant ideals but tangible realities. The war had changed everything, but it had also revealed the true strength of humanity, a strength that would not only shape the future of Earth, but the future of the entire galaxy. For the first time in history, the galaxy was united not under the banner of one species or another, but under the shared ideals of freedom and equality. Humanity had set the example for what could be accomplished when people stood together against tyranny and oppression. As the galaxy began its slow but steady recovery, the people of Earth looked up to the stars and knew that their place in the universe had been secured. They had not only fought for their home, but for the future of every sentient being across the stars. The war was over, but the journey had just begun.